Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bibispice talk show. And yes, here is the first episode for Father's Day special, right? And here is your girl, Bibi, right? And yeah, so today we're just going to talk about fathers, really, right? Fathers, and just them being celebrated, the fact that yes, they are leaders, right? So and also their fathers, their husbands, right? So they have so many responsibilities. So I've got two guests here with me today, right? So they're here to help with this, right? To share more light and help other people out there, other fathers out there, or other people that are aspiring to be fathers or want to know who a father or a husband or a leader should be, right? So they're here to share more light. So here, I've got David with me, David Gregory, right? Who is an international speaker, a best-selling author, right? So he's an author of 11 books, right? So far, right? And most of them are kind of like fictional books, right? And the fictional books focus on Christ, on connecting Christ and fiction together, right? So they've been very interesting. I've not read yet, so I'm looking forward to reading this book. And there's one that is a recent book of his, and it's titled "One of Us." Kindly, look for it and purchase it, right? And and I believe you're going to enjoy it very well. So he's a best-selling author, right? And in New York Times, right? And I've also got Steve Gamlin, right? And he is a visionary, like you said. So he has he's a public speaker as well. He's an author, right? And he's a leader so he has a mastery leaderboard that he uses to kind of help struggling entrepreneurs, right? And to kind of know how to cope and how to get out of their struggles, right? And he has a very lovely story about himself that he's always willing to share, right? And I know that during this episode you'll be able to kind of listen to a little bit about the story, right? It's very unique, right? So please listen to this gentleman, right? Thank you so much, right? Actually, I think I should leave both of them to introduce themselves, right? So I'll make it sound sweeter. So David, please could you go first?
Okay. My name is David Gregory. I am the author of 12 books, 8 of which are fiction and 4 of which are nonfiction. Most of my books have a Christian theme. My fiction kind of runs the gamut a little bit. I've written in about 3 genres, including some earth-based science fiction, some historical fiction, and kind of modern, what's called creative nonfiction. So, in any case, my first fiction became a New York Times bestseller, which was a complete shock to me, and so that's what launched my fiction career, and so I have continued to write ever since.
Oh, awesome! I've not read the book yet, but I'm looking to read one of the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve, please, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Steve Gamlin. I've enjoyed life over the past 20 years as a professional keynote speaker. I focus on back to basics positivity, motivation. Visualization is a very big part of what I do. I've created a learning program called Vision Board Mastery, which helps people to take the woo-woo out of the law of attraction My style has been referred to as blue-collar woo, which means I hand you the tools, we roll up our sleeves, we work together, and we create and help design and create an action plan for the best version of your life. And it all comes straight from my notes, bringing my own life back from complete destruction about 23 years ago to the success that it has become and the happiest version of me that there's ever been.
Oh, awesome. It sounds so good. You guys are so good. So anyway, we're going to play a game, right? Before we actually crack on. A man cries during a Disney movie. So is he something a man would do or not?
Well, I've never cried during a Disney movie, but I think it's okay for men to cry in movies. I think it's cool to be emotional and vulnerable and authentic and real. So sure, I'm cool with that, and I won't even say guilty. I've done it. Not at a Disney movie though.
Oh, I can imagine. So what kind of movie would you say?
It would be something where maybe somebody lost the love of their life or somebody very special to them, because I've actually lived through that as well. So a situation like that would definitely hit me emotionally, yeah.
Okay. So David, what would you say?
Well, I would answer exactly the same way. I think it's fine for men to cry during movies, but I've never done it in a Disney movie. I can remember a couple movies I've definitely cried at. There have probably been more than a couple, but two immediately come to mind. The movie Apollo 13 and the movie Field of Dreams.
Oh, great. I think I've watched Apollo 13. I think so, but I've not watched the other one. Yeah. So the next one is, would you let your wife handle the bills?
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, you play to your strengths. My wife Tina was great with all of that, and I let her take care of that and contributed whatever was necessary or whatever I was able to contribute. But I let her handle the bills, yeah. No worries, no fears, 100% trust, and she was really, really good at it, and I appreciated that about her very much.
Oh, yeah, I think women like to control the money, so it's expected. So David, please, what do you think?
Well, again, my answer is exactly the same. I am no longer married. However, when I was, my wife handled all the bills. She was a whole lot better at it than I was, and so I agree. Let people within a marriage do the things that play to their strengths, and that works great.
Awesome. So don't know how to change a tire.
That one for me, we should all know, because not everybody has AAA. And again, I mean, it goes back to, I was very blessed to have a dad that taught me all the life skills, the carpentry, the mechanical stuff that I would need to know to be able to survive out there. Would I make fun of somebody who maybe didn't have that upbringing or those lessons? Not at all. I would probably step into that role and teach that person how to do it himself so that he would know. So I would reject a card over it, but I'm very happy that I know how to do all that stuff.
Awesome.
I would agree. This is something that everybody should know how to do. My upbringing was just the opposite. I had a dad who had some real strengths, but knowing how to do practical things wasn't one of them. And so my brother and sister and I grew up not being taught any of that, and I think all of us got to adulthood without any of those skills. And so what skills I've picked up has been on my own initiative over time. So changing a tire has certainly become one of them a long time ago. However, some of us are more mechanically inclined than others, and that's true of men as well as women. I happen to be one of these men that's very mechanically uninclined. You show me a broken doorknob, for instance, and basically my assessment of it will be, okay, that doorknob is broken. I have no idea how it's supposed to operate. I have no idea how to fix it. And you can show me a dozen times, but I won't remember it. It just doesn't register in my brain somehow.
Yeah. So how do you feel if you see a woman doing it though?
If I see a woman changing a tire,
yeah,
I have no problem with that. I just hope she won't be hit by someone going down the freeway.
Oh, man. So what card would you put on for like posting shirtless selfie to get attention?
Well, I personally wouldn't do it, even though I'm down 38 pounds in the last couple of years, and I finally got these ripples in my chest called ribs that I saw in the mirror one day, which was a good day when I said, holy crap, ribs. Hello, boys, I've missed you. But would I post a shirtless selfie to get attention? Nah, I'm not all about that surface level stuff. We see that all over social media. To me, that's actually, when you see people begging for attention, that's actually a weakness to me. Maybe a sign of insecurity.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're proud of your body and the work you've done, but if that's all you're doing over and over and over again just to get attention, that's a sign of weakness to me.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. To me, what really is important is that somebody has inner strength, and for somebody to be showing off their physique by taking selfies of themselves, it's not a horrible thing to do. But on the other hand, I think there are better ways to show what kind of person you are.
Yeah. Next one is so always asking wife for permission before making decision.
I've been on both sides of this. My first marriage ended 23 years ago because I had the great idea in the midst of insane burnout and frustration to quit my radio career without a full-time job. So I gave my notice without telling my first wife, which I have regretted ever since. So in the 17 and a half years that I got to be in love with my Tina, we made every decision together. And that was a much better way to go through life.
Yeah.
Well, I've been on the negative side of this, making mistakes in regard to this that I should not have made. I always think it's better to make decisions together. To me, that's a no-brainer. That's what a true marriage partnership is all about, and so I'm complete advocate for that.
Yeah, but it's just there are different kind of people, different kind of men with different kind of mentality. So some men want to be like, oh, I'm the one in charge, and why you get some women will say, I'm the one in charge, and then that always causes conflict most of the time. But why some I believe some people know how to handle it. Some people handle it. They can work with either hand. Oh yeah, my man is in charge. Ooh, my woman is in charge. So yeah, but I think it should be both decisions. Yeah, both parties.
To me, if the man always insists on being in charge in that way, to me it's fake masculinity. That's not what masculinity is really about.
Yeah, I agree.
So, drink from a straw with a bending neck in public.
Okay, I have done this probably myself, although I don't immediately have a recollection of this. But it perhaps doesn't come across as the most mature thing, but I have no real objection to it.
I generally don't use the straw, but I can remember back in my radio days at a couple of radio station nights at the bars where we got to drink for free. I seem to remember putting 2 or 3 straws together, it might have been actually 6, to steal some rum out of somebody's scorpion bowl a few feet away. So while they may not have been bendy straws, they were certainly, I was certainly leaning that way, just snagging some rum out of somebody's drink. So have I done it in public? Yeah. Do I use a straw now? Generally not, no. I also do not drink alcohol anymore, which is probably why I don't use any more straws.
Oh, great. Great. So spend more time on his hair than his girlfriend or his wife.
Okay, so does this mean spend more time on his hair than his girlfriend spends on his hair? Or just then? I have never been accused of spending too much time on my hair, so it's definitely a. I would not relate at all to someone who spent more time on his hair. That's for sure.
Yeah, even back in my radio days when I had some decent rock star hair, I've there's still some shingles on the roof here, but there's a lot more room up there than there used to be. But even back then, no, I didn't spend much time on my hair. I just kind of combed it back, and there it was.
There it was.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect most men to be in that position. Well, definitely there are some men that do that. I won't expect most men to do that. So refuses to do any house shows because they see it as a woman's work. So would you keep it as a man thing or take it out?
I love doing household chores. Yeah, I love doing household chores. Tina and I would do them together. She wasn't a big fan of scrubbing toilets. I have no problem with that. And cleaning the bathrooms, none of that. It's all got to get done. So I figured we would we would shout out to Alexa, use her as a jukebox, play our favorite song. So we would each just split up the tasks and take care of cleaning the house together every couple of weeks. So I have no problem with guys doing the tasks like that. I used to love washing dishes by hand every night, and she'd she would maybe dry or stack them or put them away or something, but we always just kind of managed to split the workload together and actually made it fun to do those things. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not a big fan of household chores, but I think for a man to say, I'm not going to do all the household chores you have to, he's walking on very thin ice. And so that has never been my practice. I just think it's I agree totally with Steve. The more you can accomplish things together and make it something that is less of a burden and more something that you actually can enjoy together, then the better. So I would have to say that. To me, that's fake masculinity. It's just lording it over somebody and perhaps just laziness.
I think it can fall in that. Yeah, I know. So, but some people have the idea that it could be like, oh, I can do all the work, like earn all the money, and you just be at home and just take care of the kids and the house of chores. So I'm share it that way. I'm just saying, but yeah, everyone has different ideas. Yeah. So for this category, right, I'm just going to ask for one more, then we'll go to the next category. So wears matching outfits with his wife on Instagram.
Not something I would ever do, because Tina had some beautiful clothing. She knew her brands, she knew her styles, and she wore more colors than I own. I'm a jeans and black t-shirt guy, and I have been ever since I was a little kid. It's how I survived 10 years in radio, and my hero when I was 11 years old was a guy named Dr. Johnny Fever on a TV show called WKRP in Cincinnati. He wore jeans and black t-shirts, and that's pretty much all I wear. I might throw in a Hawaiian shirt or something in the summer, but I'm a jeans and t-shirt guy, and boy, Tina was just had some beautiful clothing. So I would never even try to match what she was wearing. No. Guys that do that are like those little poodle yip dogs that the women just keep around because they're cute and they're trained. And I think guys that dress up like that, I mean, if they enjoy it, that's great, but it's just not something I'm comfortable in. And Tina wouldn't just wear jeans and t-shirts because she was too beautiful and stylish for that. So, you know, we just showed up. She looked beautiful, and I was the tall guy.
Well, this is something I have never even considered doing, and probably would never consider doing. The only exception being perhaps matching Halloween costumes or something. But I've never done that, so I suppose a total pass from me on this one.
Okay. Well, what if it's a Demny day, Demny outfit, and both of you just wear denim clothes?
Yep. Jeans, that's pretty much all you find me in.
Yeah.
Agreed, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also because maybe most of the English clothes, right, or American clothes are not they're not fabrics, different kind of fabrics. When you go to like when you, for example, you mentioned about the Halloween, and for example, if you go to an African country or any other country, you know they have different fabrics. Maybe you might want to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know, to each, you know, their own as far as what they like and styles and stuff. I mean, I know some guys that have wardrobes that would rival any woman's wardrobe, and they dress up real nice and do all these flashy colors and stuff. Yeah. That's just not me.
That's not me. Sometimes I wish it was me, but it's just not.
Yeah.
I'm easy to shop for, put it that way.
Oh, man. So yeah, I'll go to the next one now. Right. So the next one is kind of like the pastor cheats and stays in leadership. Would you take the pastor off the position, or would you cover them with grace?
Well, I think the immediate answer to that is him stepping down and dealing with the situation and getting his life back in order. And whether at some point he can circle back and take a leadership position, then I think that's something that has to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. And the first thing I thought of were a lot of these televangelists, the TV preachers, who would go off and do something wrong, and then they'd come back and they'd be crying on camera, "I have sinned," and everybody busts out their credit cards and they put down even bigger donations to the Reverend screwed up, but we're going to help him fix his life by buying him a new private jet fund. And unfortunately, you know, these people, some of them who are out there doing stuff like this over and over, they're just living such fake lives. And I agree 100% with what David just said. You know, if you're in that position of leadership and power and authority, and you break one of the rules that you are preaching to everybody every week, yeah, I believe you've got to step down and take care of the issues in your life. Maybe you come back, maybe you don't. But to continue to stay there and not practice what you preach is a big no-no in my book, because integrity and authenticity are big keywords for me. So I would agree there as well.
Yeah.
I have seen so many people get hurt at churches, for instance, by exactly this kind of scenario or a similar one, and the betrayal of trust that people experience. It really can throw people for a loop, and so it's mandatory that all of that be dealt with in as you know, the issue is not just the pastor and his immediate those closest to him. The issue is much broader than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just more or less like what Christianity is about, right? I'm just like the Bible mentioned that should we continue in grace? In sin, that grace may abound. So I think having a time of repentance, a time to kind of think, reconcile, make a change. It's required so that it's not kind of like encourage people to keep sinning.
I honestly don't think this is a situation where accountability and grace are at odds with each other.
Yeah.
It's not doing anybody any favors to let a situation like that continue. It's not doing him any favors. It's not doing the church any favors. It's not doing anybody any favors that has anything to do with the whole thing. And the gracious thing to do is to deal with it appropriately.
Yeah. But and it might be investigated, and it might be like a scam at the end. So that's why it's important to kind of kind of stretch them down a little bit to reconcile. Yes, to rectify any issue. So okay, so a Christian influencer is exposed for scamming. So would you apply the same thing?
I'll let you take this one again, David. This is very much in your field.
Well, I mean, it's the same basic issue, other than the if a Christian influencer is exposed for scamming, then essentially he's scamming those he is influencing, and who are directly benefiting, probably financially. Or at least in hits online or whatever, through fraud. And so, unfortunately, chances are people will, he may lose some of his audience, and I mean, who's going to force him to stop? He can keep on doing anything he wants to online as an influencer. He's probably going to lose some of his audience, but a lot of them will continue to swear by him, which would be very unfortunate. But obviously, it should be dealt with the same way. But independent influencers, there's nobody to hold them accountable.
Oh.
Yeah. Agreed 100%. And just like David said, some of this person's followers, unfortunately, and I see this in the personal development world as well, they deify these people. They treat them as though they are gods, as though they are above. And if they happen to make a little slip up and scam people or mislead people or do something like that, I see too many of them turn it around. And when they get caught dead to rights, they said, I did this, but I'm a better person now. And we'll all learn from this together. It's like, well, no, you're the one that's supposed to be learning the lesson here. And you're the one who's shearing your flock instead of leading your flock. And I honestly believe that anyone who gets disgraced, and there are some people in the personal development world, as well as the religious and spiritual world, who have been disgraced. And sadly, some of them start trying to play the victim card as though they should be forgiven because, well, they're Christian, and that's what Christians do. But I agree that they deserve to wear that black mark of shame for as long as it takes for them to change their habits and change their ways legitimately, yeah.
But what if they were actually scammed? Like, they themselves, I mean, that exposure was actually them being scammed. That is, that means it was kind of a lie against them, and it was. What if the exposure is not what they did, but it's something like somebody was trying to damage their reputation?
Yeah.
And they just put up stories together and try to, nowadays things are very easy to put together. So what if that is the case?
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely people out there trying to smear others, but when you catch somebody dead to rights with their hand in the cookie jar like that, then I believe that wrecking ball can swing and take them out. I honestly believe that because I've known people who've done it.
Oh. So I think I'm just going to ask 2 more questions, and then we'll just crack on. So a father walks away from his family, then wants to get back in after 10 years, right? What would you would you accept or would you reject?
Well, to me, it's a case by case. It has to be a case by case decision. To me, the foundation point is family should be together. I mean, to me, that's a given. And so, to me, a situation in which a family is intentionally taken apart, it needs to be a really extreme situation that is simply, okay, people cannot continue to live in this situation, and for the good of maybe not everyone, but most of the people involved, this is what needs to happen. Unfortunately, I think in our culture, families breaking apart has become so mundane and so common that people give up on situations far before that point. That's my personal opinion. And people say, well, we're not, people stay together just for the kids. That's old-fashioned. We're not going to throw away the rest of our lives, and live that way. Well, in my opinion, that is an entirely valid reason to keep a family together, just for the kids. And so, applying this to this situation, I mean, after 10 years, if the kids are still minors and the spouse who walked away or the father who walked away wants to reunite, certainly the woman has to assess, well, is that something I legitimately can do? But I think people can end up doing a lot more than they think that they're capable of doing. It would be a rare situation where the wife would want this to happen, probably. But if she's willing to have it happen, I think for a family to get back together is always the best thing, essentially, no matter how long it's been.
I'm sitting here smiling because David and I are so in line on all these things. It's not like we're polarizing here. And I agree 100%. I mean, there are situations where maybe it is best to be apart for a bit, but any chance down the road for a family to mature, and that includes the adults as well as the kids, to realize what's most important. And I mean, again, my first marriage ended out of frustration, lack of communication. And to me, I let myself get ground down so far. Now, we did not have children. It was our marriage. But even our commitment to each other had worn out because we were both just so frustrated. And we let it build up and build up and build up and build up, where if we had just stepped back and just had communication and maybe even sought counseling for the challenges we were having and the burnout we were feeling, we could have salvaged it and we could have potentially been happily ever after, for all we know. But at the time, in immaturity and frustration, when the volcano finally went off, volcanoes don't have a dimmer switch. Mm-hmm. And about 7 years worth of frustration and anger and conflict came out all at once. And I made the decision that this is it. And I generally don't look back. But for somebody with kids, yeah, I think it's, there are situations where it is better off to be back together, because then you have a little bit more stability, and the male and the female influence of emotion and just life skills back in, I believe, can benefit the kids as well in the long run.
Yeah.
I will say that in my divorce situation, that was her decision, not mine. It was 10 years ago. And a little more than 10 years ago now. And up until the time that she remarried several years later, this person was not in the picture at all. Mm-hmm. Up until that time, I would have been perfectly happy to to get back together and continue in the marriage, even after the divorce was final, simply because it was my conviction that it would be better for the kids, for all of our kids, if the family was back together. And my conviction about that hasn't changed a bit. Would it have been very difficult? Absolutely. But to me, that was a price that would have been worth paying. But that's not the way it turned out.
Yeah, because I think, well, for most relationships, really, or marriages, it's just mainly communication and financial issues. Then the external bits, right? That kind of causes the issue. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But yes, but it's good to be able to have some moments or some time to kind of reconcile if possible, right? If the space is there, because sometimes it can get occupied quite faster than you think. But